Hello friends, this is Amir Malik. Today we are going to discuss data types in Java. Whenever we have to store a value in a variable, we have to define the data type of the variable as well. For example, if we have to store a number, or we have to store something text, or even the number is like a whole number or a floating point number. So we have to tell the data type of the variable as well. So a data type basically defines what type of data we are going to store in the variable. If we talk about Java, in Java there are two types of, types of data types. One is called primitive data type and second is called non-primitive data type. Primitive data type and non-primitive data type. Basically, primitive are a kind of built-in data types in many other languages as well. Like all the basic data types like Boolean, character like char, byte, short, int for integer, long, float, and double. These are called primitive data type. Why we call it primitive? Because it is a fundamental data type, built-in data type, and it cannot be broken down into more simple data types. On the other hand, non-primitive data types are basically string and classes, interfaces, and arrays. These are non-primitive data types. There is another difference. Primitive data types store values, but non-primitive data types store reference to the values. We don't need to go into much deeper, but you have to know that primitive data type stores the values, but non-primitive data type stores reference to the values. As you know, if a number is stored, if a whole number is stored in an int form, then int integer is a primitive data type, but an array which can store multiple data types is not a primitive data type. It is non-primitive data type. There are 8 different types of primitive data types: Boolean, byte, char, short, int, long, float, and double. If you look at this diagram, you can understand that primitive data types are like either numeric or Boolean. Boolean is the only data type where we have only 2 types of data, true or false. So whenever we have to store a value like true or false, yes or no, on or off, then we use Boolean data type. Numerics, numbers can be of 2 types like whole numbers or floating point numbers. So whole numbers like integer numbers can have different data types like byte, short, int, or long. Normally we use int and long. Int is used for normal range of numbers. If we have very long numbers, then we normally use long data type. For floating point, we have 2 data types, either float or double. If we have to store memory, then we normally use float, otherwise we use double. Normally in AP exams, int and double data types are normally used for integers and floating point numbers. Non-primitive data types are like string. Even though string is a kind of a series of characters, when we define or declare a variable with string data type, it is declared similarly, the same way as we declare int or double data type. So declaration method or syntax is almost same, but string is a non-primitive data type. Similarly, arrays or classes or interfaces. The data types are why there are like lots of data types for numbers and floating point numbers and whole numbers, because of their memory allocation, how much memory they consume when we declare a data type variable. For example, int is stored in 4 bytes, long is stored in 8 bytes, and float for 4 bytes and double for 8 bytes. Byte takes only 1 byte and short takes 2 bytes. Boolean data type take just 1 bit because it's on or off, true or false. If it is 1, it means it is on, it is true, and when it is 0, then it means it is off, it is false, or it is like off, or like it is false. So true, false, 1, 0, on, off, 1, 0. That's fine. So that's why it takes only 1 bit data memory in the memory cell. So these are the data types. So when we have to use these data types in a Java code, then how can you use these values or data types in a program? For example, we have to store a name, for example. So if we have to store something like text, then we use string data type. So string name is equal to Ali. You should keep in mind that string starts with a capital S because Java is a case sensitive language. String starts with capital S. If we start it with small s, it will give us an error. Name is the name of the variable, and Ali is the value stored in this variable name, and the data type of this variable is string. And as you know, at the end of the statement we have to put this semicolon. Now we can put an int like integer data type, and age. Obviously age is a whole number, so we can put it like this. So 20 is the value which is stored in a variable age, and the data type of this variable is int, integer. We can, for example, we can use another variable, double. So double is a variable, and it is basically data type, and the name of the variable is salary, and we can put some like floating point value inside this. Okay, so we can give any floating point value here. So this is the way we can use different variables and their data types. And when we have to use them, obviously we can print them. This is very important. And whenever we have to print a variable, whenever we have to display the value of a variable, we have to use print statement. And for that purpose, we have to use system dot out dot println. Okay, now if I write name like this, and if I write name like this, then what is the difference between these two statements? The only difference is here name is written inside quotation marks, and in the second statement name is written without quotation marks. So you should remember that whenever any word, any string, any text, any sentence is written inside a quotation mark, it is printed as it is. So it will display on the screen a word name, and when it is written without quotation marks, then it means it is a variable and we have to print the value of the variable. So here name variable, we already know that name is a variable and its value is Ali. So here we are using this statement to print the value of the variable name. So it will print Ali. So let's see this. I'm going to run it, and you will see the results. So first line which is printed is name. So line number 8, instruction number 8, when this was executed, the word name was printed as it is. And when line number 9 was executed, the value of the variable name was printed, and the value of the variable was Ali. So that's the way you can use print statement. There are two different ways to use a print statement. I will explain that in my next video, the difference between print and println. This is, there are few areas where we have to use print or print ln according to this, according to the display of the data or our requirement. So how can we use print and how can we use print ln? I'm going to explain this in the next video. I just need to use it here, and I'm going to run it. So it was printed like this, name. Okay, just let me change it a bit. Okay. So it is printed like this, name colon Ali in one line. And now I'm going to change this, and I'm going to make this one, print ln. I'm going to run it, and now it is printed like this, name colon in one line and Ali in another line. So what is the difference between print and print ln? I'm going to explain this in my next video. Don't forget to watch my next videos, and don't forget to subscribe my channel. Have a nice day.